Menstrual discs are rising in popularity, partly because there are lots of new brands and multiple different sizes available. Today I'm going to go over the 3 different brands of reusable discs to hopefully help you pick the right disc for you. If you're new here, I'm Kim Rosas from Put a Cup in It, and as the name suggests, this channel is all about reusable menstrual cups. If you're into that sort of thing, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel, and find us on all of our other social media haunts at Put a Cup in It. Menstrual discs have the same goal in mind as the menstrual cup. They're both inserted vaginally and they both collect your menstrual blood. Like cups, menstrual discs can be worn for a maximum of up to 12 hours. The biggest difference is how they're inserted and removed, and that's why here at Put a Cup in It, we really strive to refer to this shape of product as a menstrual disc and this shape of product as a menstrual cup. You might also have heard these referred to as menstrual cups, which we think is confusing, or as flat fit menstrual cups, which makes a little more sense. But for simplicity and consistency, we're going to call them menstrual discs. Over the years, as we've discussed menstrual discs, I've typically referred to them as a more advanced product to use. Tampons go in very easily and you just kind of poke it and it knows where to go and stays for most people. Menstrual cups are a little more complicated, but because they're removed straight down, it's pretty easy and straightforward, and most people get the hang of it in a couple of cycles. So because the menstrual cup is a little less messy and a little easier to remove compared to a menstrual disc, I normally say that the disc could be something that you use after you've tried a cup. And I still think that's pretty true, but that doesn't mean if you're looking at reusable options, you should dismiss the disc for your first reusable option. It just means you should know what you're getting into before you start. Now let's meet the different brands of discs and talk about each. I won't go too far into this product because I'm here to talk about reusables, but I did want to mention a little bit about the Flex disc, also known as the soft disc or the soft cup or instead cup or instead disc. It's had a lot of names, but it is virtually the same for both of the brands. One is a pink rim, one is a black rim. They are disposable, so you can really only use them for that one full wear, although people have said they rinse them, but you really shouldn't. This is a one size, meaning that you can only find this diameter product when you buy it. You don't have to worry about buying a small or large. The concept of the disc could be tried out by buying one of these just to see if you like it. Next is the Ziggy by Entamina. This was the first reusable menstrual disc to come out on the market. It took the idea of that round shape like the Flex or like a diaphragm that some people might know as birth control that covers the cervix, and took it and made it directional. So it's hard to tell here, but it does have a certain angle to it where it dips and it faces a certain way when you put it in. Like the Flex, the Ziggy is a one-size product. Nixit is our next disc. This is a super basic menstrual disc. It is as round as it could be, as simple as it could be, has just a little bit of a fancy double rim, but it is just a big circle. The Nixit is also a one-size product. The Nixit is, I believe, the most expensive retail on our list of reusable discs. They rarely offer any sort of discount or promotion. The last reusable disc on our list is the Lumma disc. This is the first reusable disc to offer not only different sizes, but also a stem that you can snip, trim down, or remove completely. It has 3 different size variations, also different colors, and they offer pretty frequent discounts. Any disc is going to be inserted and removed the same way, regardless of the size or the brand. You squeeze the product until it's long like a hot dog and thin, insert it, and then you push this part up and it sits below the cervix and is held in place by the pubic bone. It leans against it and props. It is not held in place by your muscles. It does not rely on your muscles. It does not rely so much on the diameter. I hate using that term for vaginas, but it doesn't really rely as much on the diameter and the tonus of your pelvic floor muscles as much as a menstrual cup. So the staying in place part is really about getting it propped up in there nicely. Like a good test vagina, I have put all of these products in me at some point and tried them all. The Lumma does have the firmest rim of the reusable disc options. So if you have tried this flex disc and you liked the firmness of the rim, you felt like it was easier to put into place because you had something really hard and firm to move and negotiate, and you like that experience, the Lumma is going to be the closest to the flex. Both the Nixit and the Ziggy are pretty soft, with the Nixit coming in as the softest. The Ziggy is somewhere in the middle. We would say Lumma as the firmest rim of the discs. Next would be Ziggy, and then in last place would be Nixit with the softest. And again, if you're trying to compare your previous experience with discs to your disposable disc experience and you want something very similar, the diameter of the Lumma large is the closest to the flex out of their sizes, and the rim the firmest out of all the reusable discs. So it's giving you a similar experience. I found that the Lumma was the easiest and has been my favorite so far, just out of putting it in and out, because the firmer rim does make it easier to negotiate and get propped into place. Once it's in, I don't feel it at all, and it doesn't leak at all for me. The Nixit is next, and this one is the softest rim, but its size is again very close to your flex. So diameter-wise, they're similar, but their firmness is not. Now, unlike menstrual cups, the firmness of your reusable menstrual disc is not quite as important when it comes to it keeping in place. It's more about getting it in. So if you are comparing cups and discs and you think you like firmer or softer, I wouldn't necessarily bring that into the conversation with discs. It also doesn't really matter about firmness in the rim for getting it to open as much as it does for cups. Cups, you want a firmer rim if you're having trouble because it pops itself open. Really, you just want the right diameter for you, but that also doesn't even matter as much because there is a tenting that happens below the cervix where for most people, even the large discs are going to open just fine. It's just the way our bodies are built. It takes up that tinted space. For the Nixit, it's just like the Lumma for me. Once it's in, I don't feel it. It's completely comfortable and it's completely leak-free. I really haven't had any bad experiences with the Nixit. Out of all of the reusable discs, the Ziggy has had the least success for me. I tried the Flex first, the disposable disc, and then tried the Ziggy. And so it was the one that I tried when I had the least disc experience. So out of fairness, I tried this a few cycles ago for almost a full cycle, and in the end did have a better experience, but it was not as leak-free and easy for me to get that leak-freeness as the Lumma disc and the Nixit. So I think it's partly because of the directionality of it. That was always done correctly on this last cycle. I was very careful about that. Trying it, it just wasn't going as well. So it did go better than the previous video, I will say that, but it did not go as well as the other two brands. Once it was inside, it was completely comfortable, and I didn't have the slipping issues I had the previous times trying it. So I think my experience with discs helped me get this to work better for me. Since there's only currently one brand that offers sizes, it's hard to help you navigate what you should do to pick a disc because most of them don't have a size. It's not really a pick thing you need to do. But if you're looking at discs and want to decide on a size from Lumma, their recommendation is to consider your cervical height. So if you have a lower cervix, they recommend the smaller one. Somewhere in the middle to average low range, the medium, and an average or high cervix would be their large. So let's talk about my favorite thing about the reusable disc, and that is the fact that they can auto dump or self-empty. And what this means is that if you are sitting on the toilet doing your business, whether it is a number 1 or a number 2, it doesn't really matter. For a lot of users, myself included, it will empty itself over the toilet. Just the act of urinating or defecating will tilt the disc so that some will release. And this can be a benefit in a couple of ways. One is that if you have a super heavy flow, you can kind of empty out during your bathroom visits what has accumulated, so you get a longer wear time. The discs typically boast a high capacity, with the exception of, of course, this tiny Lumma and the medium, which hold less, but this one has a nice big basin. But what happens is they get really squished up in there. They don't hold as much as you could if you just put it under a faucet. This always goes kind of flat, and it's not going to give you the same capacity as they say. But how much it really holds compared to what it can hold is going to depend on your anatomy. So I can't say that it holds half or a third or a fourth. That is going to depend on how it fits in your body. There's another benefit to the menstrual discs self-emptying, and that is because they are so messy to remove, which I've talked about in length in my many reviews of these products. When you pull them out, they're kind of like a blood drawer. Everything is just flat and bloody and messy, and you typically get it on your hands. Sometimes you get it on the toilet seat. I've even had to wash bath mats and work on getting stains out of my jeans because it dripped, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But if you can force it to self-empty as you're on the toilet and get most of it out, that can make the removal easier. On that note, if you are using a Lumma brand disc and you keep this stem, you can also mitigate some of that mess by using a stem to pull it out versus this grabbing or hooking method. Because discs are worn so similarly, and because it's not really based on a lot of the various factors that we have to take into consideration when narrowing down a menstrual cup size, menstrual cup shape, menstrual cup firmness, menstrual cup capacity, the discs just don't have that many complicated things. So we don't have a menstrual disc quiz at this point. If you're trying to pick between a cup and a disc, I think that's really going to be person to person. I love the disc, and I find that I look to it when I really need a reliable, comfortable option, and I'm doing a lot of things, like I'm traveling, when we could travel. And the cups, when I'm testing, not all of them are as consistent. So I do have favorite cups that I would look to as well, but there's something about the fact that the disc does self-empty that kind of tips the scales for it in my favor when I'm looking for something just really super reliable. Now for the big question that you probably have. I'll state this with a disclaimer like I always do in any review type part of a video. What works for me is not guaranteed to work for you. Now, if I had to pick a favorite of the reusable discs, I would definitely have to say it would be the Lumma disc in large. There are some things that I don't love about it and I think could improve, but overall it has been the most consistent, most comfortable, and I appreciate that it does come in some different fun colors, the marble colors, and I like that it has this removable stem. So if you can keep the stem on, that's great. My runner-up for favorite would be Nixit. As you may have picked up, I have come to really, really love discs. To my own surprise and to the betrayal of the brand name Put a Cup in It. But I don't want to prevent myself, just simply based on the fact that we're a menstrual cup channel, from also promoting reusable discs because they have the same benefits as a reusable cup. They are money saving, they reduce your waste, they give you a happy, carefree, comfortable period if you're using the right disc for you, and they're all the same benefits. So I think everyone wins if they're picking a reusable disc that works or a reusable cup for them. So that is why we're here to help with both. That's all for my look at reusable discs. I hope this has been some help to you. And don't forget to subscribe to the Put a Cup in It channel. It will take just a moment, and then you'll find out when we have new videos. Find us on all of our social media networks. We're most frequently on Instagram at Put a Cup in It, but we also have a Facebook page. And you can also look for help in our private troubleshooting group on Facebook called Put a Cup in It Community. Just search that up and you can join. Thanks so much for watching. Everyone have a great day. Bye. Should I do this?